What if the Northern Expedition failed? The Northern Expedition was a military conflict between the Republic of China, also known as the Beijing government, and the Kuomintang. China was at that time ruled by warlord states, and at that time the Fengshan clique based in Manchuria under Zhang Zuolin was the most powerful military clique after they defeated the Zili clique based around the Central Plains under Cao Kun in the Second Zili-Fengshan War. The provinces of Yunnan, Guizhou, Guangdong and Guangxi were however not loyal to the Beijing government, and were instead led by the Kuomintang first with Sun Yat-sen but after he died under Chiang Kai-shek. The Northern Expedition was launched in 1926, and though slow would see victories for the National Revolutionary Army. In late 1928 the NRA captured Beijing, but it kept its capital in Nanking. Zhang Zuolin fled via train to Harbin in hopes of somehow turning the tide, but his train exploded and he died. The Japanese who support him for over a decade now killed him. They hoped to establish a puppet regime in Manchuria, but it backfired and Zhang Zuolin, who was the son of Zhang Zuolin and successor as leader of the Fengshan clique, sided with the Kuomintang as an act of revenge. The nationalist government was now undisputedly in charge until 1949 and the Beijing government ceased to exist. But what if that didn't happen? What if the Northern Expedition failed? In this timeline the Kuomintang fails to make an alliance with the Soviet Union. This leads the NRA not only to lack Soviet weapons, but they also don't get support from the Chinese Communist Party. In this timeline the Northern Expedition fails after early victories and the Kuomintang is continuously pushed back. In 1927 Guangzhou falls and the Kuomintang government falls once again. Yunnan also switched sides and invaded Guizhou while Shaanxi and the Ma clique invaded the Guominjun. The Shaanxi clique annexes Shaanxi, the Ma clique annexes Sichuan, Yunnan annexes Guizhou, and the Fengshan clique annexes Zhehe. In Guangxi Lu Ranting becomes head of state and in Guangdong Chen Jiaming, but both of them are under heavy Zili influence. In 1928 the Second Northern Expedition is launched. The Southern Zili clique under Sun Quanfang agreed to reunify with the Northern Zili clique under Wu Peifu, and they also absorbed Guangxi and Guangdong. They launched their initial offensive into Shandong. They captured Jinan and moved to the Yellow River and even reached the sea, but because of Japanese naval support the peninsula stands firm. Shortly later the Fengshan clique pushes them back, and they withdraw out of northern Henan and Zhezhou. In spring 1929 the Fengshan clique launches an offensive that broke the Zili. They pushed them all the way to the Yangtze River. By summer Fujian rose up with Japanese support, and Sino-Japanese forces landed in Guangzhou. They met up with Fujian and captured Guangxi and Guangdong. Henan then succeeds from the Zili and the Fengshan capitalized on that by invading from Jingxi. By autumn all that was left was Zhejiang, southern Anhui and southern Jiangsu. In Shanghai Wu Peifu was gunned down by his allies and the Second Northern Expedition fails. The Fengshan clique directly annexes all lands north of the Yangtze River, namely Henan and most of Hebei, Anhui and Jiangsu. In Hunan and southwestern Hebei they restore the Hunan clique under Zhao Hangtai. The Guangxi and Guangdong cliques are restored and once again under Lu Ranting and Chen Jiaming. Li Jishan becomes the warlord of the Fujian clique in Fujian, Jingxi and southeastern Hubei. Zhejiang, southern Anhui and southern Jiangsu becomes the Jiangsu clique under Zhang Zongkang, also known as the Dog Meat General. After crushing both northern expeditions the Fengshan clique is now undisputedly the master of China as no warlord is strong enough to even threaten them, and they would gradually incorporate all of these military clique. In 1938 Zhang Zuolin dies and his son Zhang Zuolin becomes Generalissimo of the Republic of China. In this timeline Japan doesn't invade Manchuria or China because now they have a loyal and friendly government in charge of China. In this timeline Japan doesn't invade French Indochina as a major reason why they did that was to stop the Americans from supporting China in the Second Sino-Japanese War, which doesn't happen here. Instead Japan would see expansion elsewhere. They follow the Hukushinran or Northern Expansion Doctrine favored by the military instead of the Nanshinran or Southern Expansion Doctrine favored by the Navy. And so when Germany launched Operation Barbarossa Sino-Japanese forces moved invades Mongolia, Primorje and North Sakhalin. In the Battle of Kokengel, the Japanese army destroys the small garrison and occupies southeastern Mongolia. In Primorje, they quickly push the Soviets to the Amur River and besiege Vladivostok, while North Sakhalin falls quickly. They also invade Kamchatka while Chinese forces move into Central Asia. In 1941, with Soviet forces being more stretched out, Germany wins the Battle of Moscow. In 1942, Germany successfully manages to cut off the Caucasus after winning the Battle of Stalingrad, and the Japanese and Chinese forced see increasing victory in Central and North Asia. In 1942, the Soviet Union collapses, and the Germans and Japanese meet at the Urals and sign the Treaty of Perm. All the lands west of the Urals are transferred to the Greater Germanic Reich, and are split into Reichskommissariat Ostland, Ukraine, Moscovian and Caucasian. Japan meanwhile gets all the lands east of the Urals. In Central Asia, they form the Khanate of Turkestan in modern-day Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan under Mir Muhammad Alim Khan and the Alash Orda under Abid Yuskambetov. In North Asia, they establish the Far Eastern State under Konstantin Radzievsky and Kingdom of Siberia under Vladimir III and Gregory Semyonov. China meanwhile reannexes all lands that used to be under the Qing dynasty, namely Outer Manchuria, Mongolia, Tanna-Tuva and parts of Central Asia, and Japan annexes North Sakhalin. In this timeline, the US doesn't enter the Second World War, and while Germany lost the Second Battle of El Alamein in 1942, Turkey joined the Axis in that year, and they invade French Syria and Iraq and Iran, which re-enter the war, and Rommel and his tank divisions relaunch their offensive and meet up with the Middle Eastern legions at the Suez Canal. Seeing the poor situation of the British Japan after getting Afghanistan to join invaded British Raj and also French Indochina, Burma, Malaya, North Borneo, the Dutch East Indies and New Guinea. By 1944, hope was simply lost, and the United Kingdom sues for peace. Germany keeps its European holdings, and the United Kingdom stops supporting exiled governments. In Africa, Vichy France annexes Gambia and Sierra Leone, but loses Morocco to Spain, Tunisia and Djibouti to Italy, and Dahomey, Togo, Cameroon, Ubangi, Shari, Gabon, Congo and Madagascar to Germany. Germany also takes Belgian Congo and Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, Western Kenya, Angola, Zambia, Malawi, Northern Mozambique, and Namibia. Lesotho, Eswatini, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and southern and central Mozambique are annexed by South Africa. Italy annexes Somaliland and central and eastern Kenya, and puppets the Kingdom of Egypt under Farouk I. Turkey annexes Syria, Iraq annexes Kuwait and Jordan, Saudi Arabia annexes Qatar, Bahrain and the Trucial States, Yemen annexes Aden and Palestine, and Oman become independent. In India, Afghanistan annexes all lands west of the Indus, and China annexes Aksai Chin, Arunachal Pradesh, and northern Burma. Japan establishes the Republic of Indonesia under Sukarno, Empire of Vietnam under Bao Dai, Kingdom of Luang Prabang under Sisavang Vong, Kingdom of Kampuchea under Norodom Sihanouk, State of Burma under Ba Ma, Azad Hind under Subhas Chandra Bose, and Kingdom of Dravidia under Mir Osman Ali Khan. China also annexed Hong Kong from UK, and Macau from Portugal. The Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere is now in control of almost all of Asia, while the Axis powers control Europe, the Middle East and most of Africa. The Allies just consist of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Canada, Commonwealth of Australia, New Zealand, Union of South Africa, and the West Indies Federation. With the stop of the support of the pre-war governments, the Dutch and French colonies in the West Indies were absorbed into the West Indies Federation, and the United Kingdom annexes the Faroe Islands and Greenland as overseas territories. It wouldn't take long for a Cold War to form, especially after the Greater Germanic Reich, Empire of Japan, and United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland developed nuclear weapons. The United States also developed some of their own, but rather lackluster, as they are still mostly isolationist. In December 1945, the Japanese-American War broke when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and they quickly captured the Philippines, Wake and Guam, and even managed to take over Hawaii. Soon later, Harry S. Truman had to make peace, and Japan established a puppet regime in the Philippines and annexed Guam, Wake, and Hawaii. This, however, caused the U.S. to give up its neutrality and spend more on nukes and formally join the United Nations. This also caused the 1948 United States presidential election to be even more chaotic. The States Rights Party under Strom Thurmond won over the Deep South, and the Progressive Party under Henry A. Wallace won the East Coast, Northern states and New York, and even the Socialist Party of America under Norman Thomas won in Connecticut, New Jersey, and Wisconsin. The Republicans also won in Illinois and Ohio, but no candidate won 270 votes and the House had to vote the president between Dewey Wallace and Thurand, and Dewey won. The PP, SPA and SHRP didn't disappear by 1952 and the House re-elected Dewey. In his second term, the 23rd Amendment is based, which abolishes the Electoral College. In 1968, George Wallace forms the American Independent Party, and it grows at the expense of the States Rights Party, who are now a radical minor party at one end of the House like the Socialist Party of America, while the American Independent Party is like the Progressive Party, a compatible party to the Democratic or Republican Party. In 1953, Adolf Hitler dies and party leader of the National Socialist German Workers' Party Martin Bormann becomes the new Führer of the Greater Germanic Reich, and under him Germany lands on the moon. In 1958, Iraq overthrew its monarchy, which led to its invasion by the Axis. Turkey annexes Mosul and Kirkuk, Iran annexes Iraq, Palestine annexes Jordan, and Saudi Arabia annexes some former border territories. Cuba could still become communist, but with communism not being the ideological enemy of the United States, they aren't sanctioned, and a missile crisis wouldn't happen. In 1965, President Robert F. Kennedy of the Progressive Party passes the Civil Rights Act, which almost got him assassinated. In 1973, the Arabs in Morocco, Western Sahara, Algeria, Libya, Egypt, Sudan, Djibouti, Somalia, Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq rose up against Spanish, French, Italian, Turkish, and Iranian rule, which caused oil prices to rise. In the end, those were put down, but since they were supported by the Arab League, the Axis invade the Arab League. Italy puppets Palestine under Hussein of Jordan, and Germany establishes the Mutawakkilate Kingdom of Arabia in Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Yemen under Muhammad al-Badr. In 1976, Martin Bormann dies, and Otto Ernst Römer becomes Führer of the Greater Germanic Reich. When the Iranian monarchy was overthrown, Iran too was invaded but joined the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere, which almost caused nuclear war, but an agreement was drafted. Italy puppets the Kingdom of Iraq, which contains Western Khuzestan under Raqad bin Zaid, while Iran remains under the Ayatollah. After the Iran crisis, the Cold War would cool down. It is still raging on, but threat of nuclear war becomes unlikely. In 1997, Otto Ernst Römer dies, and Otto Voigt becomes Führer of the Greater Germanic Reich. In 2001, Islamist terrorists launch a terrorist attack in Germania, and since they were located in Afghanistan, a nuclear war almost broke out. In 2001, Zhang Zuoliang dies, and his son Zhang Lilan becomes Generalissimo of the Republic of China. In this timeline, the Axis powers rule over most of the Old World, and China is one of them, though they are overshadowed by the Allies in Tokyo. China is in this timeline authoritarian just like in our own, but they aren't communist, but rather a military junta. If you liked the episode, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.